Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Jets Radio. A nice little break from the Thursday night fiasco. You would think after 3 or 4 days I'd be calmed down, but I assure you that I'm not calm. I'm not happy. I'm actually furious, believe it or not. Mr. Primetime, how are you tonight?
Well, what's there to be mad about?
Can you tell me? Listen, first of all, at Talk Jets Radio, Instagram and Twitter. Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube. You know, we're on Blog Talk, Spreaker. We want to thank everybody for joining us on the live streams. I mean, it's just been, the support's been overwhelming, and we cannot be more appreciative and thankful. And all the interactions, the comments. I mean, it's really. Probably we can start with that, man. I'm overwhelmed, dude. To be honest with you, like, I'm completely thankful everybody keeps tuning into our stuff.
No, that's the one bright spot about this awful season is that, you know, the interactions we've had, the new follows, everything else, just being able to interact with all these Jet fans, it's pretty cool, to be honest. And like you said, the proper word is overwhelming because, you know, when we started this new format, we really didn't know what to expect. We knew it'd probably, you know, rub some people the wrong way, but, you know, we did it for, you know, weeks like we've seen the first 4 where, you know, we just want to be authentic, we want to be genuine, we want to be real, and we're not going to hold back with, you know, with what we say.
Yeah, the real cool thing about this format is we can speak our minds. We don't have to worry about sponsors or advertisers or the New York Jets and our credentials and everything else. We can just say what we want as fans and just kind of have some fun with it and let everybody speak their mind as well. So thank you, everybody. Everybody's been joining us. Thank you, all new subscribers. 929-477-2651 if you want to call in. Now, Primetime, I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I'm angry as shit, dude.
Can I start with a question?
Okay. Go ahead.
How is it possible that Bill O'Brien can be fired after an 0-4 start with 4 of 6 years winning the division, but Adam Gase can't be fired midseason for the sake of continuity?
Because, I mean, obviously, the Chris Johnson, they like what they see, obviously. They enjoy this product, which is the worst team in football. But we could talk about all the on-the-field activity and how the crazy bad play calling, the defense not doing anything, the missed tackles, the weird time management, the ridiculous amount of penalties, all that stuff. We can talk about all that stuff. But I'd rather go further. Let's go into how Adam Gase is destroying the team off the field. Now, we think, you know, sometimes you learn from your mistakes. Maybe you learn when you get Avery Williamson hurt or you get C.J. Mosley hurt and you put him back in the game later on in the season when he wasn't ready to return and then you lost him for the rest of the year. That was last year. Maybe you learn from those mistakes. But no, we don't learn because we're Adam Gase. So Le'Veon Bell gets hurt, hurts his hamstring. Does he hold him out? No, he puts him back in the game. Le'Veon Bell goes on injury reserve. You lose him for 3 games. Mekhi Becton, your prized left tackle, arguably probably one of the best players on your team already as a rookie, is hurt. You put him as a reserve player. In my opinion, either you can play or you cannot play. You don't say, we're going to make you active and pray that we don't need you. That's not a formula in the NFL. That's called a half-ass. So they take a chance, and lo and behold, the kid has to play. He gets further hurt. Not only is he damaging his body, but just demoralizing the kid. The kid was all full of fire and brimstone. He was demoralized as shit on the sideline. But it gets better, Primetime. So not only do you fucking ruin your running back, not only do you fucking ruin your left tackle, your goddamn quarterback now. So now Sam gets hurt, gets slammed. No idea how it wasn't a penalty. They throw him in the tent. He gets whatever, probably a shot. Then they bring him out on 3rd and 5 in a passing situation when you have the veteran quarterback on the field. So you already have – very easy to get Joe Flacco there. So you know what? Run the series out. We'll see what happens. This is what we brought you here for as a veteran quarterback. But no, we put Sam back in. And they continue to let him play. And guess what, Primetime? Now Sam Darnold is fucking hurt. So now we've hurt 3 players. You hurt your running back, your left tackle, and your quarterback out of gross negligence. If Chris Johnson can't see that, what are we doing here? That is just mismanagement, dude. That is a liability. That's criminal what they're doing now. They can't even manage a goddamn personnel, the roster, because now you're hurting players.
Tyson, what's crazy is that during the postgame, that was actually one of the excuses that I didn't even make for Sam Darnold, was that he was fucking hurt. He got slammed on his shoulder, like you said, goes into the tent, gets shot up with whatever, comes back out, looks fine. But at the same time, we were all set. I even said it right away on Twitter. There is no point putting Sam Darnold back into this game, especially with a makeshift offensive line with, Mekhi Becton, who was, struggling at the time, shouldn't have even been out there. And, let's stay on that for a second. How the hell, your first round pick, like you said, the best player on your team right now, arguably, how do you let him dress but not start? If he's injured, don't play him, especially on a short week. They had 3 days to get ready for this game. Save the rookie from himself. Obviously, he's going to tell you he wants to play. There is no point throwing him out there. And again, to even touch on Le'Veon Bell, that's where I felt like, Adam Gase didn't learn a damn thing. We saw it all summer, all throughout training camp, and of course, week one, it comes back. At what point do you just acknowledge this guy is never going to learn from his mistakes? He's going to repeat the same things that he did in Miami. Every single red flag has popped up again here in New York in less than 2 years. Yep. Yet the Johnsons still don't see it. They're the last ones to always find out.
No, and the thing is this, dude, we've already outlined a list of reasons why you should fire Adam Gase 2 weeks ago. Here is your problem now. This coach, this moron, is treating every game like the Super Bowl because he's scared to lose his job. He's trying to find a way to keep his job, justify his existence, which is ridiculous. Because why else would you put players in jeopardy? Why else would you put players in danger? You do what's best for the team. Say, listen, you know what? We got to listen, man. Like you said, you save the player from yourself. Sam, you know what, dude? Let's not make this worse. We got to live for another day. Let's get you. We'll play next week. We have Joe Flacco, and that's it. Like, you got to make smart decisions. Furthermore, is Adam Gase making these decisions by himself? Is Joe Douglas or anybody in this organization questioning him, or is he just doing whatever the fuck he wants?
That is a very valid question. I would love to know what Joe Douglas's role in all this. But like you also touched on, I think, Thursday night was the product of all the rumblings that we heard during the week where Adam Gase legitimately felt like he was on the hot seat and on prime time he had to show something. And so fuck Sam, fuck Becton, I need to win. It was about him. And that is the worst possible mindset you can have from your head coach.
Yeah, not even like the losses. You're 0-4, arguably the worst in football. Look what you're damaging your players, dude. Like, you're gonna head into a week now where Joe Flacco was playing, most likely, when he shouldn't have to be. You take Sam out, but sit this one out. We'll get you healthy. We'll rehab. Not take 15 more hits, run around, do all this other shit, and take unnecessary damage when you shouldn't have been in the game. Like, and we don't know the status of Becton now either. So it's like, what are we doing here? Like, it's like the blind leading the blind here. And now it's just, I can't even comprehend the direction this team is going, and that ownership is sitting here watching it and be like, all right, that's cool. That's just bad luck. No, it's not bad luck. It's incompetence.
Dude, I have nothing else to say. I mean, it's negligence. It's incompetence. You are completely mishandling your young players, the guys that you're in charge of developing and setting up for success, which is, we'll probably get into this, with callers later. But for me to be sitting here, throwing Sam under the bus, like we've had this debate a million times already. But when Adam Gase is the one that's overseeing everything and he can't do a damn thing right to develop a young player, and every young player that leaves him seemingly goes on to better things. We're watching Robbie Anderson become a star in Carolina right now. He couldn't do shit with the Jets. He's expanding his route tree. He's becoming an underneath wide receiver. He's developing his game. That's what a brilliant offensive mind should be doing. And yet we take that piece away from Sam. So everything from the injuries to the roster management to the way we drafted this offseason to the way we handled free agency, sitting on $30 million, ownership, general manager, head coach, it's a complete disaster right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, and you look at the injuries, you look at the losses, look at the nature of undisciplined, sloppy, embarrassing play. Like, dude, the personal fouls, the lack of discipline, all the stuff they're doing, dude, there is not one part of this that says, they're playing hard. No, they're playing stupid without any kind of control. There's nothing, and you lost to a quarterback in his first NFL start that torched you. Like, they were losing players. Players are dropping like flies. It's a quarterback in his first start, and they're going up and down the field while you're embarrassing yourself with horrific play calling, penalties, and everything else. Like, how does ownership watch this and say, this is acceptable? It's impossible, dude.
Yep. And now what you start to worry about is over the next few weeks, what direction are we going to go in? Forget for a second, whether or not Sam can actually play. But, obviously we're not going to be buyers at the trade deadline. But to what extent are we selling? Are we selling off all the pieces around Sam right now that might be coming back healthy just to try and, get some more draft capital for the future? Because that's clearly what this is. People were trying to say earlier in the year that, this wasn't a tank. Well, I'm not going to, mince words anymore. This is a tank. When you're sitting on all this money and you're not making any moves, didn't make any waiver claims this offseason. I mean, what else is it? It's a tank. You're not trying to improve this roster. You're not doing what's in the best interest of your quarterback. It's a tank at this point. So, I mean, what's our approach going to be at the deadline? Are we trading Le'Veon Bell? Are we trading off all these pieces just to look for the future? Or are we actually going to try and, see what we have in Sam? And, dude, I don't know what direction we should go in, to be honest.
Yeah, like say, for example, like the wide receiver group was all banged up. Hopefully Mims comes back. Mohamed Sanu was released today. Do they even consider pursuing him or no?
I think you have to. I mean, we said that we should pick up Sanu before the Niners did, but they didn't even give him a look. And now you're starting to get some healthy wideouts back, so they probably won't have any interest, to be honest. I think they're going to want to give, Perriman a look once he's back out there, give Mims a look. And, those are probably going to be your primary targets, not to mention Jeff Smith, who, looked decent on Thursday. I think they're probably just going to stick with what they have, unfortunately.
And then can I ask another question? Because since we're going to question Joe Douglas and Adam Gase, can you tell me, Ballage, the guy they wanted to trade for, the running back they wanted to trade for, who then they signed and was a complete liability in blitz pickup to the point where he didn't know his ass from his elbow. They finally cut him and tried to cut their losses, and they signed Ty Johnson. Why not bring in Bilal Powell, who you should have brought in 2 weeks ago? Is this team about winning and protecting Sam, or are you just going to keep throwing shit against the wall and see what sticks?
You know the answer to that question, Tyson. You know the answer to that question, why they're not bringing Bilal Powell back. He has too much of a voice, too much, he's been in the organization, 9 years, 10 years? So I think what we've been seeing over the past year, or this in particular this past offseason, they're trying to rid a lot of the voices from the past regimes, cutting Winters, trading Jamal Adams, anybody that's not an Adam Gase guy. So whether or not, Bilal is a Gase guy or not, clearly I think Adam Gase is a little bit intimidated, at the fact that Bilal's been a lifetime Jet. He's got a lot of pull with the fan base and the organization. I think that probably has a lot to do with it. I think he's got a ton of respect in that locker room as well. So, who knows who's, Team Bilal, whether or not Team Bilal is Team Gase, and I think that's probably a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, the way they're handling this roster now, man, and it's slowly but surely. Listen, I know Joe Douglas has a lot of challenges this year. I mean, last year didn't count. He had to do it a lot with a little and everything else. But, dude, some of the stuff going on right now, like, I hate Gase. I'm not going to lie about it. I've been wanting him fired last year, this year, and everything else. But at some point, Joe Douglas has to get questioned here because there's too much going on and too much being accepted. Don't you think? Like, we can't just say, hey, he's not part of the problem when he's overseeing half of this?
No, I completely agree. I mean, when you inherit a young franchise quarterback, and we could debate again, whether or not Sam's a franchise quarterback or not, but ideally that was part of the reason he took the job. He said so himself. When you inherit that guy on his rookie contract for another 4 years, there's no reason to feel that to have to start over. That's when you should be going all in to try to surround your quarterback with talent. And should we go through the list of rookie wideouts that absolutely dominated this Sunday?
Oh my God!
I mean, Tyson,
there's so much pressure on Mims, dude. There is so much pressure on Mims now.
You got Justin Jefferson, back-to-back 100-yard games. You got Ayuk, who was making plays all over the field for the Niners. Lamb, 2 touchdowns. Gabe Davis still making plays for Buffalo. Higgins, Judy, we saw him on Thursday night.
Let's not forget Judy.
Oh, my God. Dude, and this is not second-guessing. This was every show that we did prior to the draft. You got to take 2 receivers. You got to prioritize wide receiver. And what did we do? We put all our eggs in Denzel Mims, and that's it. A guy who we all loved. We loved the pick. We loved the ceiling, but we acknowledged he was a guy that probably needed a little bit of work this year. So if that was your one, quote-unquote project, well, then who is your immediate contributor? Nobody. You relied on Rashad Perriman to take over from Robbie Anderson. That's what you relied on for wide receiver, to set up Sam for success. That was the best that we could do. Sitting on $30 million with all these draft choices, that was the best we could do at wide receiver. So, yes, Joe Douglas should be questioned. Absolutely.
And then the crazy thing is Jeff Smith actually looks better than Rashad Perriman.
Yep. It's incredible.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just at a loss, dude. Like, and by the way, for those listening, Giancarlo Stanton is on absolute fire. 4 games in a row with a home run. Thank God for the Yankees, because this only thing makes life bearable right now in terms of sports.
Now you're a Stanton fan.
Hey, man, you know what? we told him to rise up, and he's rising up. So I'll give him some credit. He's on a revenge tour right now, like Aaron Rodgers. But prime time, like, you look at every facet of the game. Like, if you want to talk about the game, but you look at the game Thursday night, and the positives were what? Crowder, Jeff Smith, Bryce Huff, John Franklin Myers. I mean, the whole Pierre Desir thing was just ridiculous. I mean, that's just like, I don't even know. Like, it's just, he should have been benched 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the only thing you hope with Desir is that, a couple interceptions here and there, maybe you could trade him, and a few other guys at the deadline. If he makes, a few plays, he's not making a ton of money, even though, the $5 million that you are giving him, I think, is a complete waste at this point. But yeah, I mean, if you can find somebody to take him for a 6th or a 7th round pick, anything at this point helps, because, this defense, anybody other than Quinn Williams, you can pretty much afford to get rid of.
And then the other thing, too, is the other problem with keeping Adam Gase in the mix, and this is my biggest concern going forward, is, right now the Jets are going to preach, well, we're playoffs and you play to win every week and all this other stuff. The problem with keeping him in the fold is that at some point you got to empty the bench and let the young guys play. Like, last week they started to do a little bit, but, like, Nathan Shepard was inactive. That's a guy I want to see. Like, at some point, the Steve McClendons, the Henry Andersons, all this guy should hit the bench, and you want to see guys like Bryce Huff and all these other players get extensive playing time. Same thing at the quarterback position, man. Like, yeah. But what?
But when a head coach is coaching for his job, we saw it with Todd Bowles, where he favored a lot of the veterans, and you're going to see this with Adam Gase. Unfortunately, it shouldn't happen. I'd love to see, Joe Douglas be able to, overrule him, but I don't think that's the case. I think Adam Gase has plenty of pull in this organization, unfortunately, right now, and he's going to play who he wants to play, and I don't think it's going to be the young guys. I think you're still going to see plenty of Frank Gore, even when Le'Veon Bell comes back, which is sad.
Yeah, so that's what's kind of bothering me, man. Like, there's so many things wrong with the direction this team is going. And now, if you think about it, you go on the Sunday, which is not official yet, so we can't confirm this. But if you go into Sunday when your starting backfield is Joe Flacco and Frank Gore, you've done it wrong. Like, your season has been done wrong on the field and off the field. That's just a mess, dude. Like, there is nothing cool about that, because Sam Darnold missing playing time is an enormous setback. There's nothing cool about that. Playing a guy like Frank Gore as your feature back, who you know is not going to be here next year, which is adding absolutely nothing to your team, makes no sense to me. Like, P. Ryan should be getting as many carries, if not more, to let him get ready for next year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just think about what they're doing here. It doesn't make any sense.
0 sense. There is no logic, rhyme, or reason to giving Frank Gore as many carries as we've given him over the last 2 weeks. P. Ryan's healthy at this point. Make him your primary back. I know Le'Veon Bell should be coming back soon as well, but there is no reason for Frank Gore to even be touching the ball in this offense. We know what he is. He's 37 years old. He is not part of the future here. Why waste those reps on somebody that's not going to be here?
All right, so we got some phone calls. How the hell do we want to do this? We'll just bring them on. I think the first one's Mike, right? The 201?
201 is, I think, Mike in Jersey City.
All right, let's go with Mike. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
I'm miserable.
Not too bad, man. How are you?
I'm absolutely miserable.
I'm all right. So, this, I guess it was Saturday, I believe. Pretty cool. I got to call in to the Rich Eisen show. They took my call. Had a little convo with Rich and all. Love Rich.
Nice.
I mean, I guess I'm just, obviously we talked about the Denver game, and I mean, he was pretty adamant about, he was just ripping Greg Williams, the defense, the petty penalties, as he called it, just the lack of discipline. And absolutely, he has all the right to talk about that and how I think it was like 118 yards worth of penalties we racked up and whatever. But I guess, and this is me obviously being such a pro get the Gase the hell out of here type of guy. And it's just like, look, if you look at the stats of that game, right, we were 0-3 in the red zone. Okay, so that's one thing. So say we go and score those 3 times. It's not even a game anymore. We easily win. In the second half, Sam Ficken was only getting our points. Okay, And the other thing I want to add is I'm just seeing so many people just really start to, I guess, unfortunately, give up on Darnold. And I understand their frustration, but I think this is very, very much media-driven. Is he missing his reads? Yes, he is. Is Gase letting him call the audibles? I think it's 50-50. I think, he called that audible to Jamison Crowder. That was a nice look. But somebody broke down another play where Chris Hogan was basically open, like completely open, right in the middle of the field, and he just completely whiffed on it. Like he even looked at him, and they're just breaking. What's happening now because we are 0-4, because we just don't see any end to this tunnel of just misery, that people are just really trying to grab at things and people to blame because, people just don't want to keep hearing, oh, it's Gase, it's Gase, it's Gase. When look at it. It truly is. Robbie Anderson is the number one receiver now on the Carolina Panthers, and I don't think there's really an argument right now. Osmeli's fine. Jamal Adams, he was injured this week, but they're 4-0. He's more than he's happy. Just it's so frustrating to see when you look at the games that are being how we're losing them, how they're being broken down, and then you hear the conference the day after, and it's like nothing's changing. You know what? Like at least for Christ's sake, like if the stuff was we would see progressions in Gase and saying, okay, we're going to fix it, and it gets fixed the week after, then it's like, okay. But we're not even seeing any of that. And so if you look at Denver, it's like, as I'm completely with you, Tyson, it's just unfathomable how he hasn't been let go yet. And so the more the week goes on, I want to believe that it is inevitable that he will get fired at the end of the season. But then if he didn't get fired on Friday, then how can we honestly sit here and say he will be fired at the end of the season? Because I just feel like
look what he's accomplished, dude. He's been blown out 3 weeks in a row. He lost to a starting quarterback, a third string starting quarterback. He got his running back, left tackle, and quarterback hurt. The gross negligence and incompetence is everywhere. Like, what else is there possibly left?
Who are we kidding? It took one phone call from Peyton Manning to get this guy hired. Like, we're completely kidding ourselves if we don't think Chris Johnson's just going to, be swept off his feet again. Gase is just going to go to his office and be like, hey, look, it was a tough year. It was all on me, victimize himself and be like, you know what? Yeah, Darnold's not the answer. I need a new guy. And he's going to love it. They're going to go and get Trevor, and then it's going to be, a second wave again. He ruins his ass because Loggins is obviously still going to be there. He's just going to be useless as he ever was. And it's just like, it's like, how can we honestly sit here and believe he actually will be fired at the end of the season? And that's what's just so absolutely scary right now, because it's just like you look at Bill O'Brien, and I actually had no idea he was the GM. But if I've completely forgot that their picks went to the Dolphins, which is terrible. And apparently they're like completely like their cap is terrible. And like, yeah, he's just completely shit the bed for that franchise. But like, tell me what Gase hasn't done to be just as bad. There's nothing warranting Gase to ever have a head coaching position in the NFL again, ever.
And that's the fair point. It's the point. Kevin, like the whole thing is, you look at everything that he's accomplished last year and this year, but this year, all the things that have gone wrong, all the problems, like what else is there left to do to say, you know what, I'm in over my head. This team is spiraling out of control. Changes need to happen. There's nothing else left to do. He's accomplished it all, dude. He's got the trifecta here.
The problem is,
you know what makes this? This all?
Really quick.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, just really quick. The problem is, and I agree, there's nothing left to see. But when your owner comes out after week one and praises the head coach as being a brilliant offensive mind, he's not going to go back 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. As obvious as it is that Gase needs to go, he's not going to go back on what he just said and look like a jackass in the media. As much as we all know it, and these next 12 weeks could absolutely, permanently ruin Sam, who the hell knows? We saw how much damage could be done in just 1 week on Thursday night. So, trotting Gase out there, again, for the sake of continuity or whatever it is, just not to make a fire midseason is ridiculous. But the fact that Chris Johnson had to open his mouth after week one, I think is the biggest reason that Gase is still employed, especially after that debacle on Thursday night.
So absolutely. And my last thing that I want to ask you guys, like personally, what do you guys like? If there's any little, and I mean little, like minuscule of straw that you can now look at the rest of the season, like what's salvageable? What are you guys looking for? Like individual players and what they need to do. So I mean, as a team, I personally think the team mentality, effort, and anything else that embodies what a team is supposed to be is completely wasted and done. I personally think that the playing from the defense last night was because on Thursday was just because they don't give a shit, truly. And I don't think Greg Williams gives a shit either. So,
nope, I don't think so either.
And so I just feel like, what are we looking for the rest of the season as fans? Who knows when Makai's going to be back, because that's what I was looking forward to. But, Coach just trying to save his own ass and plug him in there when he's injured. But, like, at the end of the season, Marcus May, I feel like we want to see him do good, because I could honestly see we end up trading him too and try to sell high on him just because, like, it's the Jets. And I really don't know what to look for anymore. I guess I want you guys. There's
a lot of things. But you could look for Becton. You look to see what McGovern's going to be, because McGovern, I kind of expect a better play than McGovern. You haven't seen that. Then you want to get Mims on the field, see what Mims is. You want to see if you can get Zuniga on the field. All these young corners, you got to get all these young players playing time, dude, and get as much playing time as possible.
Like you said,
dude, I don't know.
What are we using him for? Perrine. No, but Perrine. Where's Perrine? Where is Perrine? He's healthy. This is what we're talking about. Like, my God, this is what I ended up like talking with Rich. I'm like, where are these players? Why are we drafting these players if we're just not even going to use them? Like, I feel like Gase is just like coaching because he's kind of like on and off the fence. Am I getting fired? Am I not getting fired? Am I saving my ass this week? Am I not saving my ass this week? Am I trying to get wins? Am I not trying to get wins? I feel like he doesn't even know what he's coaching for anymore, because the front office is just a complete mindfuck.
Yep. No, dude, I agree. I mean, you're going into a game that Joe Flacco and Frank Gore could be your starters. That could not be. That is the worst situation.
That is so embarrassing. That is just so honestly embarrassing. Like, it's disgusting. Like, why?
Mike, thanks for calling him.
Absolutely. Good night, guys.
Have a good night, man.
Have a good night.
All right, we're gonna go to Shaq.
Wow,
Shaq, what's up, man?
That was fast. Don't get me started. I was drinking water because I know I got a lot on my mind. I got a lot on my plate right now.
Let's hear it.
Because to me, we want Gage out of here, but there's more to Gage, and that's obvious. The coaching on defense, the front office, everything. Like, I feel like if we go for Trevor Lawrence, I think that's a stupid plan. Why? Because people are using.
Well, Shaq, let's not go to Trevor Lawrence right now. Let's just go into what's going on with the current team now and the problems they're having. Let's just deal with this year, this team right now. What's going on? Like, starting with how Sam Darnold's hurt, Mekhi Becton's hurt, and how they're handling them. How the defense is a walking penalty machine. The personal fouls, the lack of discipline, the lack of effort, the lack of coaching. Discuss all that. Like, to me, like, dude, the fact that they put Sam Darnold back in the game and now he's hurt more to the point where he may not play is criminal, dude. The fact that they let Becton play is criminal. How they're handling all this is insane. And why there's not more outrage or more backlash really putting pressure on this ownership, I have no idea. And at what point is Joe Douglas going to get involved? Or is he collecting a fucking check up there? Like, what the hell is going on in this front office? Are they all just sitting around and be like, this is just a bad situation? But you're making the bad situation worse.
It's like, what happened to the culture? What happened to the culture that Joe Douglas spoke about?
The best culture in sports?
Yeah, being a clown show. Like, there's no culture. Lack of communication, these injuries, handling the injuries, missed tackles, bad play. You have bad play guys were supposed to be like, what happened to them being accounted for? Is guys still playing that don't even deserve to play? Like Bradley McDougald shouldn't even, like, after these missed tackles and terrible tackling, he shouldn't even be on the team. He should not be on the team.
Alec
like,
Ogletree, another one,
backwards.
terrible.
We are going backwards. There's no wins in our future. I see no wins. I see no improvement. I see nothing to hang our hat on if the year goes bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, we could have handled a lot more than what we're doing now. But
Chad, just look at it this way. Look at it. This is just a lost season, no playoffs, not competitive, none of that. It's okay. We have a lost season. What are going to be our building blocks? What are the things we're looking for? Right now, we're looking for is we have to pray that our left tackle can get back on the field. We have to pray that our quarterback can get back on the field. Then we got to try to figure out what is McGovern. Is he a building block for his offensive line? Then we got to hope Denzel Mims gets healthy so we can see what the hell he is. We don't even know what Bryce Hall is or Zuniga or any of these other guys because they're all hurt. So half of these guys that are getting playing time, maybe even more, aren't even going to be here next year. So how the hell is that a rebuild year when you're not even using the guys that you need to play? They're not playing Perine. God knows why they're not doing that. So, it's like, okay, you have Crowder and Jeff Smith. Chris Herndon's been a wash. Ryan Griffin sucks. Wesco is invisible. Like, what are the building blocks? What's the positive here?
There's nothing. We are doing everything to make us look even worse. And like I've been saying this whole entire time, we all thought Adam Gase was going after the Denver game. I've been telling people all month, I said it would not surprise me if Adam Gase stayed another year and used Sam Darnold as a scapegoat. That's what him and Joe Douglas are going to do. It wouldn't surprise me if they do that.
There's no way that's going to happen.
They're going to say,
there's no way they couldn't even.
Tyson,
dude, they couldn't market this team, dude. I'm telling you, listen, they're incompetent, dude. They ain't that incompetent. I mean, dude, you couldn't sell a ticket, a jersey, a hat, a shirt if you brought back Adam Gase next year.
And you know what?
And
you know what? They're getting away with it. They're getting away with it this year because there's no fans in the stands. If there was fans in that building on Thursday night, I
it would have been my God.
I highly doubt that Adam Gase is still coaching the team right now because I think they would have responded to that. We've seen it in the past. They respond to a lot of fan pressure, and again, I think it's when it's in your own building on prime time, that's a lot tougher to ignore than an empty stadium.
Yeah, but look at the media backlash, dude. The media backlash, the fan backlash. You're getting roasted everywhere.
Yeah, and the media, like Shaq is saying, they're still kind of using Sam Darnold as the scapegoat. Not that they're not, pointing the finger finally at Gase a little bit, but, Sam's being, blamed as well. The lack of talent's being blamed, the defense and the lack of discipline, all of which, are in part on Adam Gase. But, they're setting up, I think some of the other guys to take the fall as well, which is something that we also saw in Miami, where a lot of other players took the fall for Adam Gase and then went on to do great things once they left him. And so I feel like we're going to be in the exact same boat that Miami's in. We're going to ship out a lot of these players, probably Sam too, and we're going to watch them have great careers elsewhere as we enter another 5-year rebuild.
Yep.
And the thing is, we're approaching a game. We're approaching a game on Sunday where there's really nothing to even watch. Like if Joe Flacco's starting, we're going to watch it. Like who cares? Like do you really care? And knowing Adam Gase, the prick
we're
that
going to
he
be
is,
Arizona's bounce back game.
No, but what's going to happen is knowing Adam Gase, he'll probably open a playbook up for Joe Flacco too.
He'll air it out
I guarantee
all game, just to prove it was Sam.
Just like he left Le'Veon to die with 5 carries, and then Frank Gore comes in the game, he gives him 20-something carries. Like what are we doing? We signed another running back. We got 3 running backs on the roster. We only use 1. And the guy is older than all of us in here. I don't understand what are we thinking? What is everybody thinking? What is everybody thinking and doing? I'm trying to figure this out. You purposely, I feel like they're purposely destroying Sam. They're purposely destroying him and breaking his career. No playmakers, no nothing. lies all around. The organization is hard to trust. I think it's going to be so hard for us to get free agents because this organization, nobody can trust them in that front office. Nobody.
Well, and you're making an excellent point. You're making an excellent point because right now Joe Douglas is being questioned how he handles things. That's a legitimate problem too.
Well, I was gonna say, forget just free agents for a second. Why is Trevor Lawrence gonna agree to come to the Jets? You don't think he's gonna stay in Clemson for another year if we're picking first overall? If Adam Gase is still the head coach, you really think he's gonna put his career in the hands of Adam Gase? Why wouldn't he pull an Eli?
Gase won't be here next year. There's no way Gase is going to be here next year.
I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Even if Gase is gone, there's still a high probability that he may want nothing to do with the Jets organization.
Tyson, I'm telling you, I feel like him and Joe, man. I feel like they're going to use Sam as a scapegoat. I think Sam is gone. Like I said, my idea is to keep him one more year. You keep him one more year, get weapons for him. If he plays like shit, get him out of here. Just give him one more chance. Give him one more chance. He's still 23. He's still young. He's still learning. You know what I'm saying? Like give him certain building blocks that he would like to, certain playmakers that he trusts. If you notice, the only person he's looking at on third down is Jameson because he's the only guy. He's the only playmaker. He's the only guy. If you give him.
I would even disagree slightly that if you're only going to give him one more year and you're in position to actually take Lawrence where he'd be willing to be a Jet, then I think that's what you probably have to do based off of what you think Joe Douglas and the new head coach wants. But I don't think it's that simple, really.
Like I said, I wouldn't. This team is terrible. Like it's terrible. It's nothing to build on. It's literally nothing to build on. Why waste a high first round pick on something that we supposedly have? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do that? If this team is already bad, it's bad all around. There's nothing to take. There's nothing to take next year.
And that's why my approach would be, if you are fortunate enough to be picking first overall, where you don't think Sam is completely ruined, you don't just give him the 1 year. You give him next year his fourth year and then his fifth year option the following year. So you give him 2 years with a new head coach and about 6 or 7 first-round picks on top of the extra, threes that you have from, the Adams trade. You have all your other picks. So you have 2 twos, 3 threes. Like, that's plenty of draft ammunition plus all the cap space that you have to build a legitimate foundation here. If Joe Douglas can't do that in 2 years, he should be gone at the end of that. We're probably tearing it all down anyway. But at the very least, build a legitimate foundation. We saw what Sanchez could do with the foundation around him. He was able to get the team to back-to-back AFC championship games. And I think we all agree that Sam Darnold has a lot more talent than Mark Sanchez did. It's just about surrounding him with the right weapons, putting him in the right system where he could thrive. And if he can't do it after those 2 years, you're bringing in a new quarterback into a system that's ready to go with some playmakers. That's what Mahomes inherited. That's what Watson inherited. That's what Lamar Jackson inherited. Right coach, right players around them, and that's why they were able to succeed right away. Even Josh Allen, who didn't have all the players around him right away, he had the head coach, and then they got the players right away. Stephon Diggs, they prioritized weapons on offense, and look at what he's doing now. He's playing like an MVP. That's how you develop a quarterback. That's how you build up a quarterback's confidence. We have not done that for Sam, and that's why I feel like if you just put Trevor Lawrence into the same situation, nothing changes. You put almost any quarterback into this situation, nothing would change at all.
But you know something, Primetime? I'm not giving Sam 2 more years if he plays like shit next year. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I am an apologist for Sam. I'm like you, Primetime. You probably won't admit it, but I will. I love Sam. I give Sam all the excuses in the world. I do that. Yes, I do. I don't care because I like what he does. I like him. Because if he leaves, I feel like he's going to succeed in any other system. But what I saw Thursday was he's regressing. He's regressing. And I feel like he's regressing because he's not confident in what he has.
Yeah, it's beyond obvious that there's a lack of trust between him, the playmakers that are out there who he's had a limited time to work with. A lot of them, weren't even there full training camp. These aren't really the starters that he's had. There's a lack of trust with the play calling as well. There's no rhyme or reason to any of the play calls, complementing each other. There's no tempo in the offense, no rhythm. As soon as they get in the red zone, they're featuring Frank Gore. Yeah, exactly. So, he's got everything working against him. It's not to make excuses for when he misses guys that are open, but certainly the organization from top to bottom has not done enough to put him in position to succeed or build up his confidence in any way, shape, or form. And this also goes back to back in June when the Beat was putting out all these articles that, this is a make or break year for Sam. And that was when we thought he'd have Le'Veon Bell out there, a full healthy offensive line, Perriman, Denzel Mims. That's when we thought he'd have all those guys out there. Now, half of those guys are hurt, and we're still saying this is make or break for Sam. And a lot of people have buried him after 4 games. And that to me is just, it's crazy.
And like I said, he missed reads. He missed a whole bunch of reads the last couple of weeks. He missed a whole bunch of them that just make me just scratch my head like, Sam, what the hell are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like he has one more year. He has one more year. Give him some weapons, build a team around him, help him out, let him gain his confidence up, and just let him do his thing. Let him hopefully he has a new coach. And, hopefully the new coach, runs some good plays with him. Try not to do wheel routes to fucking Frank Gore.
I lost it on that.
Just give him some help. Give him something to be, into the game and make him move around.
But see, you know what, Tyrone, Shaq, the thing is with this, I understand everybody wants to give him more weapons. Everybody wants to do this one more year. If he continues to play like this, if he gets back on the field at all, which God, hopefully it's soon, dude, it's just not going to happen. Then be like, you know what? They're not going to pass on Trevor Lawrence. They're just not going to. They're just not going to.
If we're picking first overall, and if Trevor Lawrence wants to be a Jet, I have a lot of doubts about whether or not Trevor Lawrence would want to come here based off of what this organization has been the last decade.
Yeah, if they hire Eric Bieniemy or some hotshot young coordinator that everybody's hot on or something that's all it takes.
He's gone. Sam is gone. If Eric Bieniemy comes here, Sam is gone. He's a goner.
Any highly touted NFL coach has got some kind of offensive pedigree that can sell the program. They can tell all you got to do is tell Trevor Lawrence, listen, we got you a coach that's going to build the offense around you. We're going to the same thing that Joe Douglas said to Sam Darnold's parents, and he lied to him. But listen, we're going to build around you. We're going to protect you. We're going to give you weapons. All that same old bullshit.
You don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be asking the same questions though? The same things you're saying to me. You said to Sam Darnold.
To be quite honest, I looked at highlights in college highlights of both quarterbacks. So I'm not looking at Sam's quarterback as a Jet because he literally has shit to throw to. I looked at their highlights. Honestly, they both look the same. Personally, they look the same.
And you see a lot of throws where Lawrence is just pocket all day to throw, guys wide open.
Yeah, it's just one guy has a whole bunch of coaching, a whole bunch of protection, a whole bunch of weapons. Like, did you see his weapons in Clemson? And did you see his protection? They both look the same to me. They both run well. It's just, to me, Trevor Lawrence has a better arm than Sam. And that's not by much. I think they're the same. To me, they're the same player. The same way we was highly on the same way we're highly on Trevor, we were on Sam. The same way. The same exact way. Like, we destroyed this guy. We destroyed Sam. He's not playing the same as if he was playing in USC.
So wait, Shaq, you just said give Sam another chance, and then you said we destroyed him. So what is it? Is he destroyed, or you want to give him another chance?
We're in the process.
We're in the process of destroying him. Thank you, Prime.
Yeah.
But yeah,
at what point you just cut your losses then?
No, why do that? This team is terrible, Tyson. Why waste a pick? Why waste a pick on something?
Because
something
you're not wasting the pick if you're saying you have damaged goods and you consider Trevor Lawrence an upgrade over Sam Darnold. You're actually addressing a need.
But Tyson, you're talking about it as if it's a definite loss, as if at 23 years old his career is definitely unsalvageable, which I think is crazy. And I'm also going to say this: let's say we have the first overall pick, we take Trevor Lawrence, right? What else are we surrounding him with? We're depending on Joe Douglas to hit on almost every other pick that he's going to be drafted at least highly, because we haven't seen anything from the mid rounds yet. So
we can't even
for
trust
me,
his judgment. He grabbed the quarterback when we needed a receiver. So why are we? And then those first-round picks that we have, they are not top picks. They are late first rounds.
I was just going to get to that.
So
yeah,
pick for the next 25 picks.
You're depending on him to nail
pick?
2 first-round picks that are probably going to be somewhere from like 26 to 32 with Seattle over the next 2 years. So are we getting the star number 1 wideout with that pick? Probably not. I mean, maybe it's supposedly another deep wide receiver class, but you're still probably not getting the guy that late. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint, if you are fortunate enough to be taken first overall, and if you could trade that pick for a boatload of first rounders or first and second combinations, whatever, and you have a ton of draft capital to build a legitimate foundation with all the holes that are on this roster, to me that is the best chance to build a legitimate winning team. Not just have a quarterback that has nothing around him, but an actual foundation with legitimate weapons, a legitimate offense. And if Sam still fails, you can bring a quarterback into the right system.
Yeah, dude, so you're gonna take it. The same picks that you want to use around Sam, I got to hit on. You can't use around Trevor Lawrence. This is crazy. This conversation is crazy. But we gotta let you go, dude. Shaq, we got a lot of people to hold, dude. We gotta let you go, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for calling.
Go ahead,
thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it.
I love you guys, man.
Good talking, man.
We're gonna go to Larry in Harlem. Larry, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's my second time on the show. I want to thank you for having such a great show to let Jets fans vent. I'm going to start with Adam Gase because they're showing the replay of the game, and I've never seen an offense where it's like backyard football where you line up and just hike the ball. There's no motion. There's no helping the quarterback decipher the offense. It's just line up and hike and throw underneath if it's there. And to the point about Donald, I'm going to say this. This team has so many holes. I think people are missing the bigger picture. And the bigger picture with Donald started this past offseason, where there's a lot of uncertainty around the cap. So the Jets didn't spend, right? They didn't spend. They know they have Le'Veon coming off. Who's the one player that this owner that doesn't want to spend money, that this owner would probably want to re-sign? It's Sam Darnold. And they signed all these players to 1-year deals. So I think what they figured was we have to re-sign Sam. So let's pocket all the money we can. Let's sign all of these players to 1-year deals. Joe Douglas is really going to – people are talking about what he's going to do with Trevor Lawrence. What is he going to do to replace all these 1-year contracts he has? I think the plan has been from the jump to re-sign Darnold. If they get the first pick, they re-sign him because the owner loves him. And which I agree with this part of the plan, if that is the plan, keep Darnold, trade out of the pick for a Herschel Walker, Dallas Cowboys type deal where you get a haul and you instantly rebuild your team within 2 years. You would have 10 players possibly for that type of on 5-year deals, on rookie contracts, and you ultimately save money in the long haul. And I get the Trevor Lawrence hype, and that's the thing to do, and it sells papers and it gets hits on pages. But the reality is, if you know you have Sam, and Sam has nothing around, who is he throwing a 50-50 ball to? Chris Hogan? Who is it? Braxton Berrios? I'm taller than these guys. And these guys are going to go up and get 50-50 balls. The kid has nothing. He barely has a line. He hit on Mekhi Becton. He damn near missed.
So wait a minute. What I don't understand, so now all of a sudden, Sam is the only quarterback in the NFL has nobody to work with. Meanwhile, every other team is dealing with adversity. Every other team is struggling. I just watched a third-string quarterback light us up, Brett Rippon. Like, how come everybody else can make plays when they have all their quarterbacks injured, all their receivers are injured, all this other stuff? How does that happen? But everybody can make plays except for Sam because Sam has no weapons, but every other team in the NFL is dealing with a litany of injuries, but they're finding ways to make plays. Why is that?
But part of it has to be – part of it is scheme, right? Part of it must be scheme. Part of it is strategy. Part of it is coaching.
So it's everything but Sam. Everything but Sam?
I'm not saying that Sam is not without fault here. I'm not saying that Sam has been a perfect quarterback, but you cannot win the Kentucky Derby on third-rate horses. And when you're a quarterback, you get all of the credit and all of the blame. But if you take a look, Chris Herndon dropped balls. Even Crowder the first game dropped balls. Sam wasn't on the money on those plays. But if you take a look at the kid is constantly under duress, and he makes his best plays when they're not scripted by Adam Gase. So if the kid is running around the pocket and he's throwing dimes on the run, then get this. If you take a look at the offense, nobody's moving. They line up and hike the ball. That is the easiest type of offense for defenders in the NFL to decipher. They know if you think it's bad now, wait until Belichick comes back to play Adam Gase. Because Adam Gase hasn't changed his offense in 2 or 3 years. And what kills me behind this owner, and the other thing I wanted to say is this, I think Adam Gase still has power in the org. He has the power in the organization. He's the one that got Joe Douglas there. They're not going to get rid of Adam Gase, and Adam Gase is going to ruin this franchise for another 2 years unless this owner stands up.
What do you mean going to ruin it? He's already ruined it. He's ruined it now.
No. I agree, but that's why I'm saying that to me, drafting another quarterback is another 3-year project because, to someone else's point, Joe Douglas would have to hit on every draft pick after that. The Seahawks draft pick is a 30th pick at best, maybe a 28th pick at best.
Yeah, but Larry, my response to that is our roster is so barren and so depleted. He's got to hit on every pick anyway, including this year's draft class that can't even get on the field.
That's my point. Look at our
that's why you give them more picks
no matter what they.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. If you do a Herschel, look at what the Dallas Cowboys got for Herschel Walker. They got 3 consecutive years of multiple round picks and players that built a dynasty in Dallas. The Jets have too many holes to fix with Trevor Lawrence, and I get it.
But you can consider. But the problem you have is you get this big haul, you draft all this, you're passing on Trevor Lawrence. And then after a year, if Sam is still not the answer, then what do you do in a quarterback?
But
you pass on a generational talent to say, oops, my bad?
The next year, you have multiple first-round picks. You can have multiple first. Listen, first of all, everyone's a generational talent until they get hit. And then something gets changed. There's no guarantee that the kid.
But the problem is, you're in year 3 of Sam Darnold. At some point, something's got to flash. Something's got to give you inspiration other than a long-running play and one pass a game. At some point, you want to see consistency and say, you know what, this kid's clicking for him. Not demoralized, not missing good reads, not.
Guys, let me ask you a question.
Right now,
who was his starting? Who were his starting wide receivers in the last 3 games of last year? Take a look at that. Take a look at who this kid had around him. We are paying what's happening with Darnold is the same thing that has happened year after year. When the Jets had the draft this year, I was screaming in the 4th round, and I was screaming throughout the draft. I said, I want Mims, and I want another wide receiver. Give him 2 wide receivers. They got pretty, and they drafted James Morgan. Now what does Sam Darnold have? He has nothing to throw to, guys.
But the problem is he does have guys to throw to. Okay, so now that we've given Sam 4 weeks of excuses, which everybody's got Sam so many excuses, it's great. So now when Bell comes back and Mims comes back and Perryman's come back and all these guys are back towards the middle of the season, can we hold Sam accountable then, or is he getting a pass for this year because it's poor Sam Darnold?
No, I'm not saying it's poor Sam Darnold, and I'm not saying he deserves a pass. But what I am saying is these guys that are starting at the wide receiver position for him, and Chris Herndon, I don't know what happened. He must have, I don't know what happened to him, but he's completely fallen off a cliff. But the reality is these guys shouldn't even be on NFL fields.
Crowder looked fine. Jeff Smith's making plays. And you're going to get Perriman back. You're going to get Bell back. You're going to have – you can't have an all-star cast around Sam.
But Tyson, isn't that the same cast that we all agreed throughout June, throughout July, that was still not enough? Right? We said it on every single show. It's not the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's enough for Sam to make plays and everybody stop making excuses for him.
But now
the first one was he doesn't have his guys. Then his guys come back. And now his guys are not enough. The Sam
No,
Darnold
hold on.
excuse book is expanding every day now.
No.
At some point, to be held accountable.
Really quick,
But-
is there a group of weapons out there that is worse than what the Jets were working with the first 4 weeks? And
Who
is
did
there
Justin
a head
Herbert
coach?
have on San Diego?
Is
Who did
there
Justin
a head
Herbert,
coach?
a rookie? Who did
Keenan
Justin
Allen?
Herbert have on Sunday?
Keenan Allen? Leclerc?
Okay,
I don't know if he was hurt.
so yeah, Jamison Crowder's playing. Jamison Crowder's a very good receiver.
Keenan
So what's the problem?
Allen versus Jamison Crowder? Come on.
Jamison
Now you're
Crowder
gonna say,
Jamison Crowder only played 2 games this year.
He played this
Jamison
past
Crowder-
Thursday. Justin Herbert got
Right.
thrown into last-minute action. All his players, including his running back, went out. He was in second and third string guys all over the field making plays everywhere.
And
This
Sam
is
still found
happening all
Crowder for
across the
100 yards.
NFL.
Sam still found
But
Crowder
again,
for 100
but-
yards. How much more? I mean,
But who-
Oh, so now
I
we're
mean-
gonna give. Okay, so Sam played a good game on Thursday. Now we're gonna say Sam played well.
he made some throws with a busted up shoulder and
Some throws.
pressure
Some
in his
throws.
lap half the game.
Some throws. I mean, a starting quarterback should make more than some throws. You should make a lot
what are
of
the
good throws.
expectations? What are the expectations with
so-
literally
so-
the worst
so let me-
head coach
so-
in
so
football
let me say
and
this.
the worst group of weapons? What are the expectations?
And-
300 yards and
I
4
mean, listen,
touchdowns?
you guys got. Listen, you guys got it, man. Make all the excuses you want. Keep putting them
No.
up there for him.
Hold on a second.
It's fine.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm not making excuses for Sam, but you couldn't put Joe Montana behind and have him throw to this cast of characters and expect success. I don't care if it was
So,
Joe
Larry,
Montana.
my question is this. Now we have the built-in. These 4 games are obviously nobody cares about them. They're going to give Sam Darnold the pass. When his playmakers come back this year, which will be the next couple of weeks, are we going to expect more from him, or are we just going to say, you know what, Sam, you can keep playing like shit because we feel bad for you? Like, when do you hold him accountable this year?
Here's what I would say. I wouldn't expect more from Sam. I would expect more from his playmakers, because the reality is that
Sam has to play better.
I agree with you, but Sam doesn't get yak. Sam does not get the benefit of yak. Sam gets the benefit of a catch and 3 yards. Sam doesn't get that, and the numbers don't reflect that. Other quarterbacks,
Yes, gave him plenty.
Baker Mayfield throws a slant to OBJ. He's taking it to the house, and Baker Mayfield gets the credit for those yards. He throws a 10-yard out to Jarvis Landry. He's breaking that tackle. Matt Ryan throws to Julio Jones. Julio Jones is catching it. He's taking it 20 yards. Name the quarterback. Sam has never gotten yak out of his. The only yak receiver he has right now is Jamison Crowder coming out of the slot, and defenses know that. Who's breaking a tackle for him? But guys are saying that Sam has to play better. Where's he going with the ball when everybody's covered on every play? Where's he going with the ball?
So now you're saying on every play there's no receivers open, because I've watched all.
Guys, you guys are expecting Sam to make because you saw
No,
a replay.
I'm not, Larry. I'm not
listen,
expecting every
what
play.
I'm saying, and the speed of the game, because we have the benefit of replay and slowing it down, and we're saying, oh, that guy's open. Meanwhile, this guy's been hit. They signed Balaj, who couldn't block my grandfather, but they signed him. Why they have him in here on third down blocking, why they have Frank Gore running, they had absolutely, and Adam, what kills me is Adam Gase said, they made us one-dimensional. Dude, you're calling the plays. You called it one-dimensional. You're calling the plays. Why this owner, why Joe Douglas won't go to him and say, guy, give up play-calling duties and run the team or else? He is calling the plays. So what are they supposed to do on predictable passing downs when you have no motion and no deception? This kid is
in your opinion, the play calls are always poor and Sam makes all the right reads all the time.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying to you is success in the NFL is predicated on a number of different things. It's predicated on the quarterback making reads. It's predicated on the receivers making catches, on people up front blocking. And right now, the Jets and the personnel they have, the ability for all those things to work right is totally less than other teams because of the personnel and the coaching they have. So when it goes wrong, Sam gets the blame because on 1 or 2 plays that we have the benefit of slowing down, they say, oh, that guy was open. On 1 or 2 plays. But on how many plays has everything broken down and the kid would make a play or the kid would make a throw? 2 weeks ago, he throws to Herndon a dime on the corner of the end zone. It hits Herndon's chest. He doesn't catch it. Other plays, the first game, guys dropped the ball. Some plays he overthrew them. He wasn't there. They were jitters. He overthrew it. He wasn't settled in the pocket. But I've seen the documentary where Bill Belichick pulled Tom Brady to the side and said, hey, slow down, step into the throw. Step into the throw. And Brady said, I got hit. And Belichick said, yeah, you got hit? Well, just calm down. That's what a coach is supposed to do. But what does Adam Gase do? Adam Gase goes over. He sits over there, looks lonely. He's not a motivator of men. Whenever there's something wrong, it's never his fault. He never stands up and says, you know what, I got to do a better job of calling plays. I have to do a better job of deception before the play. I have to do a better job of helping Sam read what the defense is going to do. Guys, they've been doing the same zero blitzes since the Ghost game. Every defense in the NFL knows to throw pressure at them because Adam Gase doesn't do anything to counter it. I'm not saying it's none of it is Sam's fault, but what I'm saying to you is every week there is the same game plan: pass on first down, run on second down, pass on third down to a bubble screen or something underneath. That is the design, and the kid is programmed it seems like he's programmed by Adam Gase to do it. So the way, and then when you don't have a wide receiver that could break it, you don't have fast running back, you don't have, he has a rookie that he's not playing, and Perine wasn't fast coming out of college. He wasn't one of the faster running backs, but you're giving Frank Gore 25 carries, 23 carries, and you don't have any speed on the field at all. You're not running. Like if I were Adam Gase, you know what? Let's take a look at Gronkowski, and I hate to say his name, but Hernandez. How did Belichick use those two tight end sets to kill teams back in those days? Why isn't he doing more of that now? Why doesn't he use motion? He doesn't have wide receivers. His best players could very well be the tight ends. Why isn't he using them? There just seems, but Darnold gets, and that's why I say that if you're Joe Douglas, and I firmly believe that they stacked all of this money to re-sign Darnold, they're going to trade out of that pick for a haul and get this kid some first-round talent this year, next year, and the year after that. The Jets will have 6 first-round picks in 3 years if they parlay this the right way, and multiple picks in the second or third round. That's the way you build a successful franchise. And they'll have all of those players on rookie deals. That's the smart play. Don't draft for a position that you can make work. The Ravens won with what's his name? Tim Hasselbeck is quarterback, for Christ's sake. You can build a team the right way. Don't waste all of your resources and capital in that one position. Trade back, do it the right way, get players, and hit on your first-round draft picks for a change.
And hope Sam Darnold's the quarterback.
Hold on, and not for nothing though. If you do all of that the right way, right, and you have that legitimate foundation in place, how did the Chiefs get Pat Mahomes? They had to trade a future first-round pick to move up and get him. How did the Texans get Deshaun Watson? They had to trade a future first-round pick to go get him because they were ready to win now, right? So if we build that foundation correctly from using this pick with Trevor Lawrence as well as the 2 first-rounders from Jamal, and you have all these picks over the next 2 years, if you build that foundation correctly and Sam still isn't the guy, you can go get the guy. You could trade a future first-rounder because you have the foundation in place ready to win.
Exactly. You can go get the guy. Would you rather have that scenario, or would you rather have the Houston Texans scenario right now where they have 0 draft capital? If I'm the Jets, I say, you know what? Let's sign you to a 1-year extension, a prove-it deal. Let's re-sign. Look at the number of 1-year deals the Jets have on their roster. Jordan Jenkins, multiple players, I believe George Fant on the offensive line, multiple players on the offensive line. Draft, get a center for this kid that's a young stud, that's somebody that could grow with him. Grow the offensive line the right way. Invest in the offense through the draft. They haven't done that in years. For years, the Jets draft on defense. For years in the first round. The last time we nailed pick in the first round on offense was either Mangold or DeBrickashaw. Those are the last
Sanchez and Dustin Keller. That's about it.
Well, we see how that worked out.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. We still haven't taken offense in the first round since then, other than
So that's my point. I would just say ignore the noise because it's sexy to say, oh, the Jets are going to draft Justin Lawrence, and I'm willing to take that bet. I bet 100 to 1.
So Larry, just to confirm, so for the next 12 games, you don't need to see anything out of Sam. You're like, you know what? We're just going to try it out next year and see what happens.
No, for the next 12 games, if he has a starting cast and he bombs, then you go to the Trevor Lawrence option. But
so what's
honestly,
considered bombing? What do you consider bombing from Sam Darnold this year?
A complete regression. But I think you look at the NFL schedule, you look at the year in quarters. You look at the first 4 games, the next 4, and the following 4, and I think you look at quarters and you say, okay, for the first quarter, we know it's been bad, but it's been depleted. The team is an injury-riddled team. For the next quarter, let's see what we get out of it. And if it's
there is a chance
you have to move on. And I honestly, to be honest with you, I don't think the Jets are going to be in a position to draft Trevor Lawrence anyway, because I think they win just
regardless
enough games
of that. Regardless of that, but there is a chance. So you're saying he still has a portion of the season to prove that he's worthy, though. So he can make your case for you. Say, listen, he's showing a lot more. Or if he does regress or does things that become alarming to you, you can be like, you know what, we got to cut the cord. So in your opinion, there's still a chance that he could not be the guy.
I think that there's a chance that he could not be the guy if there is a complete regression when he has the rest of the weapons around him. But my gut tells me the larger picture is the case. The larger picture being that that the team knew going into this year that after this year, they would have to re-sign Darnold. They had to make a decision. So everything was predicated on that. They weren't going to sign Jamal Adams. They weren't going to do it, and they knew that going into the draft, which is why they drafted Ashton Davis. So they weren't going to re-sign Jamal Adams because it wasn't necessarily a position of need for them. Another guy not playing, but they knew it, right? Now they're at a point where, they think Darnold's the guy. So we have to sign him. And I wouldn't take it as a shock that they sign him and they move back in the draft to get the capital they need to effectively this team needs first-round talent at the edge and on the line and at wide receiver and at cornerback. And they don't have the draft capital to do it in 1 year. But if they pull back, they'll be able to make some things happen there. Hopefully that work out best for the team. I mean, can you imagine a young core that has a number 1 wide receiver? We're yet to see what Denzel Mims can do. Hopefully he works out. But if not, you have a couple of other options, and you sign a couple of free agents. You draft some good cornerbacks, and edge, and you're able to do it over a 2 to 3 year period when Sam will be 25, 26 years old. I mean, come on. Every other team invested around their star quarterbacks except the New York Jets, and now it's Sam's fault when he gets zero yak on every catch.
No, well, nobody. But I'm not. Let's see. My point's being misconstrued here, but I'm not saying it's Sam's fault. I'm saying the Jets have failed him to the point now he's regressing, where he's demoralized, his technique is going bad, he's making bad reads, and now it's like, can he be salvaged? Can he show us something towards the end of this year, which you just said yourself? Listen, if he regresses more towards the end of this year to the end, then it's concerning, because that's like, dude, you may get to the point of no return with him.
I think you're using the wrong word. I think you're using the wrong word. I would say Sam is not regressing. He's pressing. Sam is pressing too hard. To me, a regression would be, okay, you had the same weapons and you're not hitting them and you're not doing anything. Sam is pressing because he knows the pressure's on him. What else do they have? He's pressing. How is he pressing? Because he's overthrowing receivers, or he's trying to make the perfect play. He's pressing too hard. Why is he pressing? Because he's trying to throw and make something happen. And this is what kills me about this punk ass coach. That Sam is trying to make a play, and he throws the first pick he throws to Cager, who just came off the practice squad. And the other pick, Sam is trying to make something happen. And instead of the coach coming out saying, you know what, I don't like the picks, but I'm not going to kill the kids for trying to make something happen, he completely throws him under the bus and says, yeah, those picks are on him. Like,
well, that's the way Gase is, man. It's never him. It's always the players. That's one of his big. That's why he's not a leader of men, man.
Gase is shit.
Yep.
Do you think I would want to play for somebody like that? Do you think I would?
That's why nobody wants to play for him.
Right. I couldn't play for him because I would come to the sideline and let him have it on national television and tell him to line up. This is a guy that never took a hit. He never took a hit, but he wants to go there and say, this guy, like, come on, the kid is he's pressing. So instead of saying, well, Sam has regressed, he's pressed, right? The first game, and I've watched his games. I could say this about our previous offensive coordinator who wasn't great. at least he used motion. At least he did some deception, and Sam would light it up. Sam could make all the throws if the receivers were able to be creative and get open, or there'll be, some other things there. But he's pressing too hard this year. You can see it. He's bouncing in the pocket. Somebody needs to grab him and just tell him to relax. If it's not there, throw it away. Just relax. You don't have to make every play. Any completion is a good completion as long as it's ahead of the sticks or, headed towards the sticks. But this kid is pressing because he's trying to make a play on every single play. And the defenders, the best and most athletic position on the field are cornerbacks. And because those cornerbacks have to do what wide receivers are doing in reverse. So you don't think that they study Adam Gase's offense when there's no motion? You don't think that they say, okay, this guy underneath has the propensity of just rolling underneath and stopping, and they're jamming him and playing man-to-man on every play. But Adam Gase doesn't help him out. So when Sam tries to, when the pocket collapses, which it does more than any other team it seems, the pocket collapses and the kid is on the run, he's trying to make a play. So he throws the pick, and everyone kills him for it, including his coach, who's a genius, who is never wrong. So I think Adam Gase has control over this franchise right now in a manner where he has duped the owner. He sold the owner of Wolves tickets. The owner thinks that Adam Gase is this genius, is this creative genius. The rest of the world is laughing at him, but Adam Gase brought in Joe Douglas. And if Adam Gase was cunning enough to maneuver to get rid of Maccagnan, right, after Maccagnan brought him in, just imagine the way he's manipulating the situation right now. The guy's a clown.
Larry, thank you for calling in, man.
Phenomenal call.
We definitely appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Good talking to you, man.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Giancarlo Stanton just hit a bomb.
They're
This
still
is
losing,
like an epic. I mean, and the Mets aren't even playing. So we're just going to enjoy the Yankees in the playoffs right now and watch Stanton go on an absolute home run tear. So we're going to go to – where are we at here? Oh, my screen's frozen. That's awesome. Mr. Gangrene David, what's up, man?
Well, I'm enjoying watching this Yankees team right now. That Giancarlo Stanton home run was gorgeous.
That was a bomb, dude. Holy shit. How you doing, man?
I mean, thank God I got the Yankees to get my mind off the debacle that is the New York Jets. But let me just start off by saying that I want to congratulate you two on your YouTube channel. I want to congratulate you two on the success you guys have had on your YouTube channel. I've seen you guys get numerous amount of interactions on there. Your content has tremendously grown to become immensely popular and very therapeutic, which I've really been keeping an eye on lately. So I'm just going to say this right now. I mean, you guys just completely continue to blow up, and you've earned every bit of it. So congratulations. In terms of the whole Sam Darnold and Trevor Lawrence thing, I see both sides to this whole thing because you hear half the fan base wanting to invest on Trevor Lawrence, and you're hearing half the fan base wanting to give Sam Darnold one more shot, give him a shot with a legitimate, competent offensive system. And I think it comes down to two factors. Number one is the head coach, and whether it's Adam Gase or whether or not it's a new head coach, it's going to depend on which one of these prospects fits his system, because this new head coach, or whether it's Adam Gase, whatever, he could want to go in on Trevor Lawrence, or he could actually think to himself, you know what, this is a young quarterback with a ton of potential in Sam Darnold, and he's only 23 years old, so I might actually give him a shot in my offense. So I think that could be one of the factors. The second factor is Sam Darnold, because yes, Kevin, I do agree with you. The situation that Sam Darnold has been in has just completely regressed him as a young quarterback with the lack of playmakers. And yes, I get he does have Jamison Crowder. Jeff Smith had one good game, but what does he have around him? And I think something that not a lot of people have talked about is the amount of changes that you've seen in the offense, because you're seeing so many of these players drop like flies that there's not really a lot of continuity for Sam Darnold to grow it, because you look at all these other quarterbacks, they're actually growing with playmakers and they're having continuity to work with. Sam Darnold hasn't had that because you're getting all these changes in the offensive line, all the wide receivers that, you know, it's kind of starting to impact what kind of chemistry he has with his playmakers. But Sam Darnold as a player in these next 12 games, it's going to determine whether or not you could either actually have one more year with Sam, or whether or not you do take Trevor Lawrence, because the more you see Sam regress, Trevor Lawrence becomes a bigger chance for the Jets. And I'm not saying I'm giving up on Sam Darnold, but Trevor Lawrence right now is on the table. So Sam Darnold is going to be a huge factor for these next 12 games, quarterbacks, and he needs to kind of cut down on these rookie mistakes he's making in his third year. Sam Darnold needs to play better, and I still believe in him that he could, because he is my quarterback for a reason.
No, listen, I don't totally disagree with anything you just said there. I think that over these next 12 games, he definitely does have to play better. I'm just asking, I guess, how much better, or what's the bar that we're expecting him to get to? Is it, 350 yards a game and 3 touchdowns? I mean, what exactly are we expecting? Especially, again, I understand guys are starting to come back now. I think it'll take a couple weeks, and then, we should be expecting better performances. But to this point, we're asking Sam to be so consistent when not one thing around him has been consistent. We've changed head coaches, offensive coordinators, the amount of weapons that are injured every year, and even those guys we all said weren't going to be enough. So nothing around him has been consistent. It's clear, our last caller, Larry, just made some excellent points that he's pressing. There's a lack of trust, a lack of timing with all these wide receivers. And so it's easy, when we're sitting back watching the replays to kind of slow it down and say, oh, that guy was open. Well, on the last 3 plays, was he able to beat his defender? Was there a lack of trust between Sam and that, and that wideout who got open on that play? Was that guy a second or third option on that play? There are just a lot of these little things that I think, people are pointing to, saying, oh, that's a play he should make, when nothing around him is really set up for him to just make all these throws and play in a rhythm and play with some confidence. He hasn't got to that point yet. And you can point at all the factors that contribute to it, but I do partially agree that over these next 12 games, he does have to separate himself from the Trevor Lawrence talk and kind of elevate his game to a point where, you know what, we don't need Trevor. We're good with you. We just got to get you some help. I think he does have to elevate his game just a little bit to, eliminate some of that talk.
No, I absolutely agree. And everybody's talking about Trevor Lawrence, because if you draft Trevor Lawrence and you trade Sam Darnold, you're just going back into this whole cycle to where you're taking another young quarterback, and you're seeing what this other young quarterback is, when Sam Darnold, he does have to play better, but at the same time, a lot of these quarterbacks, they also need legitimate help. You look at Josh Allen, for instance, right? A lot of people were ready to write Josh Allen off his rookie year, but what did the Bills end up doing? They got him John Brown, they got him Cole Beasley, they got Stephon Diggs, and now they got an offensive line, and now they're playing like one of the best offenses in football, and Josh Allen is continuing to improve as a young quarterback. So what I do want to see Sam Darnold clean up those mistakes, and he has to, because when you're a quarterback and you're trying to force all these throws and all these things, that's something that you got to clean up for yourself as a quarterback. But at the same time, you're also going to need that kind of help, to kind of elevate his game a little bit, because Sam Darnold can only do so much for himself, to the point where, you got to think, this kid does really need some help around him. He does. So these next 12 games for Sam is going to be crucial. He's got to step up. And now with all these weapons coming back, the excuses for Sam are going to start to die down. You're getting Mims back. You're getting Le'Veon Bell back. You're getting Perriman back. How is Sam going to finally try to gain chemistry with the weapons that you were supposed to go into the season with? That's the main question here right now.
No, completely agree, dude. No, the only other thing I wish, aside from the weapons coming back, is that we actually had an offense that catered to what he does best. And the perfect examples, like you just mentioned, Josh Allen, even Lamar Jackson, those offenses are specifically catered to what those guys do well. A lot of RPO, letting the quarterbacks move. Sam showed on Thursday night. He's got some wheels. Why did it take 2+ years for us to see that he can make those kind of plays? You know what I mean? And we see him run around. I mean, the one touchdown that he had to Berrios, he was running around for 9 seconds before he got that ball off and scored the touchdown, before he made the throw to Berrios. So he has this ability to make those kind of plays and, to do different things where you can run RPO. You can, have the offense go up tempo. We saw it on Thursday night for 2 to 3 plays at a time. They would go up tempo, and they'd have some productive plays, and then they'd slow it down. They'd bring Gore in. The one drive, they were moving up tempo. They got the big penalty. They're in the red zone. What did they do? 2 handoffs to Gore and then a wheel pass to Gore. That's the biggest problem to me. So any time that he does start getting some confidence, he does start getting in a rhythm, you do something stupid to set him back. And, just touching again on what Larry was saying before, he's almost playing like a robot, where it seems like Gase has kind of neutered him. to being this, check down bubble screen master, try to limit his mistakes, especially, with the wideouts he was working with over the first 4 games. And I think that he just wasn't really trusting himself. At times he would try to do too much and force balls in. Other times he wouldn't trust guys that are open and he would hold back. It's just there's clearly a lot that's going on in his head right now, and it's not allowing him to play to his best capabilities. I think we still see it in flashes. It's still there. We all want to see the consistency, but until things around him are consistent, it's hard to ask that, I think, of a young quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think you need to give legitimate continuity to this young quarterback to grow. That's why I advocated to bring back Robbie Anderson, because after that season last year, it became clear that Robbie Anderson was probably his best source of continuity to grow with. Unfortunately, the Jets let him walk, and he ended up taking another offer, and look what he's doing in Carolina right now. He's completely balling out over there. So I kind of wish we didn't let Robbie go. Instead, we dropped $8 million on a first-round bust who hasn't even cracked 50 yards receiving on the season yet. I know he's been hurt, but what has he done really? I mean, Rashad Perriman just hasn't ultimately underachieved this year.
That's the one thing this offseason. I can give Joe Douglas a lot of passes for certain things this offseason that went well, didn't go well. Not prioritizing the wide receiver position, thinking that you can get by with Rashad Perriman replacing Robbie Anderson when he had all of a 5-game sample of success. Even if he does come back healthy at this point, he shouldn't have been your primary option as a number 1 wide receiver, because he's never been that. The Tampa Bay air raid offense last year was the only reason he put up those numbers the last 5 games. And I'm pretty sure Evans and Godwin were both hurt for a majority of those games as well. So he had to be the featured option when they were just chucking the ball up 60 times a game. So to use that as your measurement to say, you know what, this kid can replace Robbie Anderson, who had 2 years of chemistry with Sam, that was ridiculous. And then to put all your eggs in the Denzel Mims basket. And again, we all love that pick, but that should not have been your only draft pick at wide receiver. This was a deep class. There's plenty of wideouts this past week that were just balling out. 2 touchdown games from CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson's back-to-back 100-yard games. Wideouts all over the place that are balling out, and we couldn't find a way to take another one. Trade future first-round picks, move up. Even guys in the 3rd round that are playing well. Nobody. We couldn't take another wide receiver in this draft. We had to take a backup quarterback. And I don't even want to rip on Zuniga and these guys that haven't played yet. But still, why are we prioritizing defense instead of the young quarterback? Makes no sense.
It really doesn't. I mean, the thing with Denzel Mims is, like, I love the pick, and I understand the talent around that pick. But I think the one thing with these Big 12 wide receivers, they constantly get hurt. And, like, they're incredibly fragile. They just don't tend to pan out in the NFL. I'm not saying it's going to happen with Denzel Mims, but you're starting to see it with guys like Jalen Reagor, Josh Doctson. He's another primary example. He constantly was getting hurt. Corey Coleman was another one. Like, that's just the thing. So I hope.
I think it's different for every wideout. I mean, you have Julio that's had a nice career. Calvin Johnson was fine throughout his career. I think it's just a matter of how you take care of your body and just not being. Even DK Metcalf, everyone thought that was going to be him. Because he was this jack guy coming out of college. Everyone thought, that's just a hamstring tear waiting to happen. He's been perfectly fine. So I think, whether these guys do yoga or whatever it is to kind of, stretch out the muscles, I think it's just all a matter of, like, how you take care of your body more than anything.
Well, now that's exactly true. Now you're going to see what Denzel Mims is going to be. He's already missed about 4 weeks into the season. He's missed almost all of training camp. So now you're going to wonder, with the limited start he's had to his career, if he plays on Sunday, he comes off IR, what's he going to be, especially if Sam doesn't play, which would kind of stink because a lot of fans were really looking forward to that Sam Darnold, Denzel Mims connection, because that's why we took him in the 2nd round, because you kind of wanted to see wanted to get that wide receiver that Sam can grow with for years to come. And a lot of people were thinking it was Denzel Mims, but he had a hand injury going into the draft, and that's probably why his stock dropped down. And now he's dealing with these hamstring injuries, and he's just almost a complete unknown at this point.
Yeah, definitely concerning, especially when, it was the one hamstring at first, and then, he was on his way back. He was actually back on the field, and then, 2 days later, it's the other hamstring that's hurt. I mean, not an ideal way to, start your career as a rookie.
It's not. I'm just hoping for the best.
David, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, and once again, congrats on your YouTube channel, and keep up the good work over there.
Well, give out your information, man. You're not gonna plug your YouTube channel. I'm waiting for like the half-hour speech here.
Especially when you pave the way for us on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, no, I think you guys did a fine job even without my help. But anyway, I'm Gangrene David on YouTube. I do my own kind of Jets content up there. I do Jet videos. I do live play-by-play reactions. I do reactions. I do vlogs. I actually just released some merchandise. So if you guys want to
merchandise,
whoa,
hold on a second here.
Yep.
What kind of merchandise you got?
Yep. Well, I mean that's something. Well, it's actually merchandise that's actually done by a group I'm partnered with called the Spotlight Sports Network. They actually, I gave them my naming rights. They actually took my logo, and we're actually giving out some merch now with that whole group. So because I'm part of that group, and now we're selling merch over there. If you guys do buy some Gangrene David merch, part of the proceeds go to the channel, part of the proceeds go to the Spotlight Sports Network. So we're giving out some merch on there. Also, if you guys want to follow me on social media, I am at Gangrene David 1 on Twitter. I am at Gangrene David 1 on TikTok. I am on Instagram, Gangrene_David. I have my own Discord server, if you guys want to do that. You guys want to join that server, the link will be in the description of all my videos.
Christ, this is taking forever.
You said you wanted the half-hour speech. There you go.
So I should have known.
You wanted the promotion, so I'm giving it to you. You wanted it, so I'm giving it to you.
My question is, has the Gangrene David
I'll stop there, Tyson. Just
been trademarked?
I'll stop there for you. That's it.
David, have you officially trademarked the Gangrene David name?
I'm working on that.
I'm gonna buy that shit.
It's okay. Tyson's gonna find my merch. He's just gonna completely destroy it. I can see it from a mile away.
Have a good night, man. Thanks for calling in.
Completely destroy my merch. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Good talking to you, man.
What are we doing wrong, man?
Yeah.
Why don't we have merch? What are we doing here?
Man, David's putting us to shame.
He's got a network. He's got people are trademarking his logo and all kinds of. What are we doing here? We're just slacking off.
Why aren't we on TikTok either?
I don't know, man. We're gonna go to Mr. Jason Coppell. Jason, what's up, man?
Gangrene David's out here licensing his damn name. We've come a long way since seeing him at Mo Wilkerson's bowling event, filming selfies back there, man. Like, this guy is like unbelievable, man. What's going on in Jetsland, man?
He signed away his naming rights.
He sold his naming rights. Gangrene David's getting paid for the Gangrene David name, man. You gotta love. God bless America, man.
Gotta love the hustle.
Hell yeah, man. Shout out to Gangrene David. Guys, oh, man. Oh, it's just, we heard all week long, you can't move on from Adam Gase. You can't do that. It's going to hurt Sam Darnold if you move on from Adam Gase. And we found out the hard way that it's going to hurt Sam Darnold if you don't move on from Adam Gase. And I'm going to bring up a point here, and I want to, it's going to sound a little ridiculous on a Jets talk show, but I'm going to tie it all in. Guys, Pete Rose, right? Pete Rose was banned from baseball for betting on baseball, right? And the reason why he was banned, it was never found he bet against the Reds, but when he was the manager, but they, there were a lot of, he admitted that he had bet on the Reds. And why is that a problem? That's a problem because, when you bet on a certain game, on a particular game, it may change the way that you manage that game as the manager, right? So, like, maybe you'll leave the relief pitcher in for too long and get him hurt. Or maybe you'll leave, maybe you'll play a guy that shouldn't have been playing that day, because you're so dead set on winning that one particular game that you're not thinking of, the grand scheme of things. And that's where we're at right now with the Jets. Now, I know they're not gambling on him, but it's the same premise. Like, they brought Adam Gase back here. Adam Gase, he's not, he claims he doesn't read the internet. That's bullshit. Give me a fucking break. The guy is like, he knows he's got one foot out the door, and they were on national TV, and Mekhi Becton had no business being in that game, but they put him in, and if this wasn't the game was meaningless. These games are meaningless, and putting our best two players in harm's way is the exact nightmare situation, and why you need to move on from this guy, because he's desperate for a win that day. That's the only thing that mattered to Adam Gase, was putting Sam Darnold back in harm's way, even though he was injured, because they had to try and win that game, and putting Mekhi Becton in there in a situation that he had absolutely, positively no business being anywhere near the field. If he's not healthy enough to start, he's not healthy enough to play, period. There's no emergency left tackle. That's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like, what are we doing? And it's just, I mean,
what I don't get is if all the fans can see this, and every media outlet that tried to defend Gase last year, they've already turned. Why is Chris Johnson the last one to find out? Well, we all know. We all know this guy's in it. We all know he's not changing his philosophy. He's the same guy that he was in Miami. What the hell are we waiting for?
He's holding on to some sort of ridiculous pipe dream because he got to pound his chest after, doubling down on Gase last year and them having a 6-2 record down the stretch. And I bet he marched all around the building talking about how smart he was and how great the Jets played down the stretch and how he was vindicated for that decision and blah, 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 right? And he's hoping that somehow, by some miracle, guys are going to come back from injury, they're going to win 4 or 5 games down the stretch, preach progress, and try and bring this clown back. That's what he's hoping. I really believe that. So, he wants to get wins. Like Chris Johnson is not thinking about the long-term success of this organization, the long-term ramifications of meshing Sam Darnold's brain anymore and Mekhi Becton's, shoulder or anything that actually matters in the long run. He's thinking about not, doing anything possible to take his name away from any sort of problem so that he can say, I told you so. That's what it's come down to. It's his ego versus the entire Jets nation, fans, the team, and everything. And his yes men sycophants who surround him and pump his head full of nonsense that he's not doing the wrong thing. Because anybody with a brain at this point, anybody with a brain has moved on from Adam Gase. Look, the Texans moved on. The Texans did the right thing. Okay, they have a young quarterback in play, right? So, I mean, I you can't make it up, man. You really cannot. Like, if there's, no matter what the decision is, if there's a right decision and a wrong decision, you can pretty much count on the fact that Chris Johnson is going to make the wrong decision every time, and he criminally put him period by not moving on, because if this was an interim coach, and they could tell him, listen, Darnold's banged up, like his shoulder's banged up, we're not putting him back in this game. Same thing with Becton. Becton's not playing today. His shoulder's messed up. We're not putting him in the game. Dude, I can't even watch. I can't. I honestly, like you said it, Ty, like, what do you watch? I can't watch. I can't watch it. I won't watch on Sunday. Joe Flacco handing off to Frank Gore. In what way is that? What's the point? If they were playing, if I thought that they were going to play Pirine and they were going to play Morgan or something, right? At least it's like a preseason game, and it's something like this is so ridiculous. These guys are not going to be on the team next year. None of these guys are. And then you sign another running back. You traded a freaking draft pick for an injured Ballage. He comes here and doesn't pass a physical, then goes back to Miami. Then they cut him. Then they sign him anyway, so you don't even have to give up that pick to get him, right? And then he sucks, as we all knew, as everybody in the NFL knew, because nobody else had any interest in bringing him in for free, not to mention giving up a pick for him. Then they cut him. And meanwhile, I just talked to Bilal Powell, who's, for some crazy reason, dying to be back here, and they won't return his calls. So I was like, you talk about punting on the season, right? And he has the nerve. I mean, Manish, props to him again. I mean, I hate to keep, I know people think that I have some agenda, but dude, he's the only one writing real stuff down there right now. It's like, he pointed out all the ridiculousness of Joe Douglas and all the things that he said, and it drives me nuts because you know what? I'd rather him say nothing. I'd rather these guys just say nothing than sit there and try and act like their fan base is the dumbest fan base on the planet. Like, all of a sudden, we're going to all believe that you didn't punt on the season, that everybody's pissed off, that nobody believes in us, and we're going to go out there and prove to everybody how good we are, and every season, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. How can anybody make that case when you didn't re-sign Robbie Anderson, you traded your best player for draft picks, you didn't surround your quarterback with any wide receivers, you let the one wide receiver we had here, who's now the number 5 receiver in the NFL right now currently, with Teddy Bridgewater throwing to him.
Unreal.
Dude, you can't make it up.
But wait, Jay. Playing for the coach the Jets should have hired initially.
With Teddy Bridgewater, you literally can't make it up. You look around the league and you look at the offensive linemen who are thriving everywhere that we got rid of. Brian Winters playing well. Brandon Shell playing well. Kevin Beachum playing well. Osemele playing well. This was the line last year that everybody said was the trashiest line in the history of football. I wonder what changed. What changed? I don't know. They're going to Seattle and Buffalo and winning teams, winning cultures, and they're on Instagram laughing at the Jets. Laughing out loud. Talking, hey, how great is it being away from that hellhole? Oh, it's freaking awesome. We're winning games. Like, dude, it's just such a slap in the face. This guy set us back so far, and it's like every week that goes by, something new pops up. So now this week it's, he got Darnold killed. Now Darnold's out for a few weeks. And I want to talk about Darnold for a second. I want to go, then I'm done with my Gase rant. Listen, what Shaq was saying was crazy. I love Shaq, but what he was saying was crazy. And there is no, we're going to bring Sam Darnold back for one more year half measure. That's crazy. Like, if you're going to pass on Lawrence to bring Sam Darnold back, if that's your plan, you need to commit to Sam Darnold. I'm agreeing with Primetime on that. If that's your plan, if you're going to actually pass and you're going to surround Darnold with talent, there is no, we're giving him one more year. Then what? You need to give him 2 years. You need to then you need to go and you need to guarantee him the 5th year of that contract, right? Because otherwise, you don't guarantee him the 5th year of the contract. He plays well. Then what? What if he walks and he plays well? What if he doesn't play well? Then you have nothing. You can't. It's ridiculous. You can't just say, we'll bring him back for one more year. So if you're there's really only two options. You can trade that pick, and you can commit to Sam Darnold long term with very little information to prove that he's the franchise guy because of what we've done to him, or you draft Lawrence. And frankly, I think the safe play here is you got to take Lawrence. I mean, I hate to say it because it's not Sam Darnold's fault, and I'm sure maybe he'll thrive elsewhere. But when you have when you have the chance to get a guy like Lawrence on a rookie deal to reset that rookie deal, and you get that, you're fortunate enough that you sucked so bad and you dealt with Adam Gase's nonsense for long enough that's your reward at the end of it. I'm sorry, man. I hate to say it because I love Sam.
But just really quick, though, resetting the rookie deal, what should that even matter, though? If we are, in fact, picking first overall and we trade that first overall pick for a bunch of additional draft choices, if you have all these rookies on the roster, what's the big deal in resetting the rookie contract if you pay Sam? Who else on the roster right now are we paying? And we've already seen Joe Douglas. He's not going to invest crazy money in free agency. That's not going to be his approach. He wants to build through the draft. So if we have all these draft picks,
but they have to invest a lot of money in free agency. They have money to. They have no players, Kev. When this year ends, and all these guys they had on 1-year deals that are actually decent players. You're talking about Poole. You're talking about Jordan Jenkins. Those guys are so far out of here. They're not coming back. Who do you have? You don't have enough draft picks to fill those spots. We're in the same spot as we were last year, but even worse. We have less talent than we had coming into the offseason last year.
I'm not saying they're not going to spend it all. I'm just saying they're not going to invest crazy money in premium free agents. I think Joe Douglas's approach to free agency is going to be what we saw this year, going forward, which is a lot of those 3-year deals that are glorified 1-year contracts, low risk type contracts. Where if guys play well, you can have them at an affordable rate for years 2 and 3, things like that. I don't think he's going to be giving out 4 or 5-year deals. I'm just saying I think that's it. Obviously, it blew up in his face. But I'm saying that's going to be his approach, I think, in free agency because he's going to want to build through the draft. And if you want to build through the draft,
really
give me as many picks as possible. Dude, I am too at this point. Which is why I want to give him as many picks as possible and not just start over with a new quarterbck. Build an actual foundation and give him as many pieces as possible to do it.
Everyone just wants to give Joe Douglas his blind faith, but look at those Eagles draft classes he was responsible for. They're not good, man. Look at the Eagles, and then look at his free agent signings so far since he's been here. It's been a disaster. I'm not gonna bury Joe Douglas yet because I don't think we have enough information, on what he is yet. But oh man, if Joe Douglas is a fraud, if he was oh my God, we give Joe Douglas a coach. and Joe Douglas, has another terrible offseason like he had this year, I'm sorry. His offseason was putrid, and his half offseason last offseason was putrid. He didn't have a professional kicker here. He didn't have he signed Khalil and they stuck with him too long. Got Darnold's head mashed in, and then
backup quarterback.
I didn't have a backup quarterback. Didn't have any plan there. Came into this offseason. Every free agent he signed has basically been terrible. The offensive line has been. I'm sorry, they're better than they were last year, sort of, but they're still the 30th ranked offensive line in football, and they stink. And Mekhi Becton's been fantastic. I give him props for that. That was a good draft pick. But
fell on his lap.
I mean, the rest of the draft class hasn't barely gotten on the field. Not necessarily his fault, but I'd like to see him on the field. But dude, the early returns on Joe Douglas has been a disaster. I mean, on epic levels of disaster. So, I don't know what to say, man, because you're going to give him autonomy to pick a coach and then build around what? I mean, you have money to spend. You're going to have draft picks. You just got to pray, man, because if Joe Douglas has another one or two bad off seasons, then you're talking about another GM and coach reset in a couple of years. With it's just too much for me to think about, man. It's too much.
And that's that's the problem, though. Because if you say you hire Bieniemy, you hire Bieniemy next year, and Joe Douglas shits the bed again, or shits the bed doesn't do well. If you fire the general manager and you bring in another one, then you have another arranged marriage where it's like it's a disaster.
Jay, I was
this is
curious.
why.
Jay, real quick, I was curious. What were your thoughts on the report that came out with Tony Pauline? Because I remember we were going back and forth on that when he put out the story prior to Maccagnan and the draft, and that turned out to be right. So when he put out that article about a week or so ago that Joe Douglas wasn't the guy the Jets really wanted, that he was kind of the Adam Gase guy, the Jets really wanted Patton, and that Douglas is now sort of on the hot seat. I'm like, are we really back here again? So, I was just curious what you thought about that.
Well, Tony Pauline is obviously plugged in, man. I won't doubt Tony Pauline ever again. He was ahead of everybody on that report. He obviously knows somebody over there. So, if he says it, I'm gonna take it as fact until proven otherwise. And so, but even there, it's like, dude, this is just crazy. This organization, man, it's just a nightmare. I almost want to see, it's going to sound crazy and it's a hot take, but I almost want to see, if you can get, a guy I know Tyson and I talked about this off the air. If you can get a guy like Harbaugh or something, a single voice that, that'll run the entire show to come in here and be the GM and head coach and make, Joe Douglas his VP of player personnel or something. I know you have him on a 6-year deal for a lot of money, but it's almost something I would prefer at this point because you got half measures all over the place and you got problems popping up all over the place again. And this is all again because of Chris Johnson. Because if Chris Johnson had fired Mike Maccagnan before the offseason, then you wouldn't have had all these signings. You would have had a coach and GM together brought in at the same time. And then what you did by hiring Gase and firing Maccagnan when you did was a nightmare because if you didn't do that, then you could have fired Gase at the end of the year. Like we said on Talk Jets Radio, when it happened, before they hired a GM, we said, if the guy that they hire is going to be a yes man for Adam Gase, then don't even bother. Let Adam Gase be the GM for the year and then let him sink or swim and then fire his ass at the end of the year if it doesn't work out and then bring in a head coach and a GM together. But now, you allowed Gase to get Maccagnan fired, and then Gase basically brought in his guy, right? And if you fire Gase and you allow Joe Douglas to bring in the next guy and then Joe Douglas doesn't turn it around, then exactly what Tyson said, then you're right back to the same goddamn situation. Yep. It's just ridiculous, man. This organization is barely worth any of our time, to be honest, man. It's brutal, and they don't learn, and it's the same shit year after year after year for a decade. And it's just mind-boggling to me that they keep finding themselves in these situations. I don't want to be the negative guy, negative Nancy dude, but give me a reason for positivity after what we're seeing. They can't even make the decision to fire freaking Adam Gase. Joe Douglas, if he was worth a shit right now, would be pounding the table saying, we got to get this guy out of here. Look what he's doing to my guy that I drafted, my number one pick that I put my first guy that I drafted as a GM that I brought in that was a stud, and he almost got him killed. So what?
Dude, his whole friggin' draft class. No, but dude, just not even back in. Look at all the draft class that got hurt before they even made the season started. Half the draft class is already hurt.
And not only that, he won't even put his freaking running back, Pirine, that he drafted in the game. He's running a 37-year-old Frank Gore. Frank Gore's out here celebrating his college son's first college touchdown. That's our running back. A guy that you're going to be a kid you could draft in college. Is like his dad is on our team. Dude, he's our starting running back. It's so ridiculous, man. I've never in my life ever seen dysfunction on this level. It's so much more dysfunctional than it's ever been. It's circus level dysfunction. I mean, it's like we used to hate when everybody would say, "Oh, the Jets are a circus," because from like 98 to 2010, 2011, like they were not a circus, but still the media wanted to portray him at times as a circus, right? Rex Ryan, oh, he's a clown, put him in clown makeup, all this stuff. But like they weren't a circus then. This is a circus. This is a 3-ring circus, man, and it's going down the shitter fast, man. And the fact that he hasn't fired this guy yet, despite the fact that everyone on the planet knows he needs to be fired, is just insanity, man. It's just I've never seen anything like it.
Jay, phenomenal call once again, my friend. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Good talking to you, man.
I don't know how to say. How do you say this next name, Kevin?
Capel?
Capel? All right, we'll go for it. Capel in New Jersey. What's up, man?
Hey, guys. My name's Capel, so you guys almost got it. But yeah, I mean, listen, I've been listening for the last hour and a half, and I echo a lot of what the past people have said, but I just want to point out that I don't really think Joe Douglas is in a position to fire Adam Gase. Like, I don't think he has the power to fire him because of how the hierarchy is set up. Both him and Adam Gase report to Christopher Johnson, and ultimately it was Christopher Johnson who ended up hiring Adam Gase. So I think the problem here is a power struggle. You see a lot of the guys that are being brought in for tryouts, these are all prior guys that Adam Gase worked with in Miami. This Ballage guy that they were trying to trade for, I mean, that's all Adam Gase. I don't think that's Joe Douglas. I think Joe Douglas is just going along with it because what else is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to just say, no, we're not going to bring in a guy you don't want, a guy you want?
Yes.
So
I mean, his job as GM should be to kind of do some of those things. And like, I agree with you.
I agree.
To some extent, yes, it's clear that there's probably a power struggle and that, Joe Douglas can't directly fire Adam Gase. But one thing that we've been talking about for the last few weeks is that at the very least, through the media to ownership, he can still separate himself from Adam Gase. Mainly in the media. That's where I feel like he needs to do it. Because if you're really all about culture, the best culture in all sports and all the quotes that he talks about, if he's really about that, at least to the media, to the fan base, to the guys in that locker room, let them know that you are not aligning yourself with Adam Gase, who everybody can see is a loser. Because right now, we can't tell that you're not, joined at the hip with Adam Gase. Every appearance is that you are aligned with Adam Gase. So until you do something to separate from it, we're going to call it how we see it, which is that you are an Adam Gase puppet, because that's what it looks like.
You're absolutely spot on. Joe Douglas needs to take accountability. He needs to, go to Christopher Johnson and tell him these are the reasons why Adam Gase should be fired. I mean, he shouldn't have to tell Christopher Johnson. Christopher Johnson should know why he should be fired, but he needs to stand up for himself. And really, I don't see him getting fired if Sam Darnold is sitting on the bench. I mean, if Joe Flacco comes in, it's going to be the excuse that, Joe Flacco's in. He's old. He's not used to working with these receivers. He's coming off a neck injury. So, it's going to be another 2 or 3 weeks if Sam Darnold is sidelined before Adam Gase is fired, which is just a calamity, which is an absolute calamity. And I want to point out one more thing with regards to Sam Darnold. I agree with Tyson. We need to see improvement out of him in these next, 12 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever weeks he plays, with Mims, Perryman, Crowder, and Bell back. Because I was watching some film, from other analysts, and there were some throws out there that Sam Darnold just, he looks at the receiver and then looks off him. And it's like, why is he doing that? Is it Gase in his ear telling him to just go to his first read? Because that wheel route that Gore ran, there was Jeff Smith, I believe, running right down the middle, wide open, and Sam looks at him, but he throws it to Gore on a wheel route. So I don't understand if that's Adam Gase in his ear telling him, go to Gore, go to this guy, and not allowing him to make his reads, which I really hope it is. But if it's not, it's inexcusable. He has to make those throws. He has to make those reads. And I agree with Tyson. That's my barometer for him these next 12 games. Because I guarantee you, Perriman, Mims, Bell, these guys are going to get open. Okay, these guys are not bad players. These guys are playmakers. And those guys, and when they are open, Sam Darnold needs to hit them. And if he does, okay, great. If they drop the ball, if they're not getting yards after catch, whatever, okay? If they lose, it doesn't matter because we see progress out of Sam Darnold. And that's where, after the season, if, we have the number 1 pick, that's where I think about, drafting a Jamar Chase, a LSU receiver, drafting talent around Darnold. Because really right now I think Joe Douglas is in a bind. Because what happens if you pass on Trevor Lawrence and he goes on to become a top 5 quarterback? Because that's the type of talent that he is. Then, and after that happens, what if Sam Darnold continues to regress? Then it's a calamity because you don't have your quarterback. And, yeah, you have all the picks in the world to get talent, but who knows if you're going to hit on those anyways. So I think you really need to find out if Sam Darnold is a quarterback to surround talent with because guys like Trevor Lawrence don't come around. You guys mentioned that you can surround talent and then get a quarterback to be substituted in 2 years. But, what's the guarantee that a good quarterback prospect comes out in 2 years? Or someone like Trevor Lawrence is going to come out in another 2 years. So to me, I think that's something, you all have to consider with regards to Darnold.
No, I think that's absolutely fair. That with weapons coming back, that the expectations should grow a little bit. But I'm still curious to see the play calling, and like you kind of touched on, as far as going through the progressions and who should be his first option, second option. A lot of that stuff we don't know, but it just looks like it looks like he's pressing. It looks like he doesn't have trust in these wideouts. The timing is off with certain guys. There's just not a lot of trust, whether it's the play calling, the receivers themselves. It's clear that there's just something that's wrong. And is it all Adam Gase? No. But is a majority of it Adam Gase? I think so, especially when you look at past history, you look at what, Ryan Tannehill and a lot of these other guys have done once they have left him. And to me, I feel like that's going to be the same thing that we're going to talk about with Sam Darnold if we decide to move on from him. That, he's going on to bigger and better things in a different location. And we're just hoping to fill in, a new quarterback and just hoping to get lucky and that the quarterback's going to solve all our problems when there's so many other issues that are going on right now.
Yeah, and I want to touch on another point with regards to the defense. I mean, Greg Williams, he can go too because the lack of discipline that I'm seeing defensively with the personal fouls. I mean, that's on Greg Williams. Okay, I mean Adam Gase is the coach, so he's going to take the blame for it. But why is we got to start blasting Greg Williams because Ogletree? Are you kidding me? Alec Ogletree is out there playing snaps over Avery Williamson. Avery Williamson was one of the best linebackers we had before he got hurt, but we want to play Ogletree. Why is Desir not getting benched? I don't care if he had 2 interceptions. That's because Ripien is just throwing the ball, right to him. Desir didn't make a read. He just got tricked into throwing that ball. So, Pierre Desir doesn't get benched. There's no accountability defensively. And, Greg Williams, he can go after the season too if this defense doesn't show any improvements because despite the lack of talent, I'm not seeing any accountability. And that's where coaching also, needs to be evaluated. And when we look at
I was going to say real quick, the sad thing with Greg Williams is that, he was the reason that, we were trying to dictate certain coaches and their staffs when we were going through the whole hiring process. Part of the reason that Matt Rule didn't want to take the job was because he had to inherit Greg Williams and, the coaching staff that we wanted him to inherit. So it's just amazing that, after a solid year one where we thought we maybe had something, the trend with a lot of his defenses that we saw in the past is already happening here again after 4 weeks.
It's a joke, and look at what Matt Rule's doing down in Carolina. They're 2-2. Robbie Anderson's looking like a star. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater's playing well. So we didn't want to let him hire his own coaches. That just shows how inept our organization is. We let Cliff Kingsbury go to Arizona, and the Cardinals have struggled a little bit, but their offense is firing still. And we're gonna get destroyed this Sunday. He's gonna have DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray is gonna be running all over us. It doesn't matter who we have. sneaking on Kyler Murray. You're going to see them light 30, 40 points up on us this upcoming Sunday, and we're not going to be able to stop it. And
no
really,
arguments for me.
In terms of the next head coach, I'm looking. The two candidates for me are Eric Bieniemy or Brian Daboll out of Buffalo. Those are the two candidates. Unless a Harbaugh comes around, you got to get one of these two guys because I'm just watching their offenses. I mean, Eric Bieniemy, I don't want to hear excuses that he doesn't call the play calls because everyone down in Kansas City respects him. I mean, you can see the accountability that he has there, and ultimately they're firing on all cylinders. And Brian Daboll, look at what he's done with Josh Allen. They got talent around him, and he's been a good coach. He's developed Josh Allen the right way, and I'm sure he can do the same with Sam Darnold. And when it comes to the next coaching hire, Christopher Johnson better not be near the interview room, okay? He better not even be in the building. He better tell Joe Douglas and his executives, you have all the power in the world to do this coaching search the right way and pick the right guy. Because Christopher Johnson has no clue what he's doing.
No, he's not a football guy, and he doesn't know football. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. Where's Tyrone at? Is he not calling in today?
Tyrone's stuck in the mountains, man. He forbid if he's stuck in the mountains, so he couldn't call in tonight.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Prime time, we made it, man. 2 hours of some excellent calls, man. People bringing the heat, and it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be very, very interesting.
I'm not looking forward to this Sunday, man. I think these last 12 weeks as a whole are going to be interesting, especially as Sam comes back and some of these weapons come back, trying to figure out what we have and what pieces are actually going to be here to stay long term. But just looking forward to this Sunday. If Flacco's out there handing the ball off to Gore, that's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I can't listen, man. I'm as diehard fan as anybody out there. If you're gonna tell me Flacco's playing, I've lost complete interest. Like I just can't even take it seriously, dude. Like you watch, but you just I will have my remote so close to turn channel as fast as possible to see other games because it's not gonna be fun to watch. You're watching just garbage. It just sucks the life out. And if you say, is Becton gonna play? What's going on? It's just this is a bona fide mess, man. So
should be a fun
postgame. Plays. Yeah. So we'll be live. We're live Friday night, 8 o'clock, talking about that. Primetime, any parting shots before we wrap this up?
No parting shots. Just keep the faith in Sam. Let's try and back this kid. Let's hope these weapons come back, and let's hope that he shows us something, throughout these 12 games, because I do not want to start another rebuild all over again with the new quarterback. I have no faith that we'll get it right around the new quarterback, so I'd like to see us get it right around Sam.
I'm hoping this injury report takes a turn for the better, and you get these guys back in the field, especially Mims and all these other guys. We got to get them on the field, man, because to not get any evaluation on all these young kids. I mean, that's just going to be it sets us back so far, man. It's insane. So, thank everybody for listening. Friday night, 8 o'clock. Sunday, an hour after the game. Then Monday, we're around all the time. Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube, at Talk Jets Radio, Instagram, and Twitter. And we will talk to everybody on Friday.
Go Tampa.